Shout out to the Pacers podcast.
All right, what's up, Pacers Nation? Welcome to 3-Point Threat. I want to talk about that game 2 before we start that game 3 and touch on game 3 a little bit at the end. So something pretty special happened for game 3. I was actually gifted 2 tickets to Turner's Block from a Mr. Rico Luis Mendez. Shout out to him. He was giving away 2 tickets to Turner's Block and did a drawing. I happened to win the drawing, so I was able to go to game 3, which was awesome. And if you've never been to Turner's Block, it's a completely new experience. It's a completely new experience because you're used to being in the Pacers game, and every once in a while when it's close and it matters, even in the playoffs, you might hear the defense type of cheers, when it really matters. No, Turner's Block brings it up to a whole new level. Okay, every single defensive possession, we're cheering. Any type of lame call happens, we're saying something about it. It's the atmosphere of like a high school football game, like student section against like their rival. You just feel the energy extra there, and it makes it a lot more fun. It was actually my fiance's first Pacers playoff game, so that was a great experience for her too, and I was glad she was able to experience it that way because that was so awesome. Everybody in that section just makes it a whole lot more fun. You have like the drum line right there that's doing the whole drum beats the whole time, so that makes it a little easier to cheer. They handed us out like those little cardboard heads, and I just happened to have Miles Turner's head, so that was cool. I brought my Miles Turner Hickory jersey. I got some cool comments on that because some people have never seen that before. Jerseys, I know a lot of people hate them. I love the Hickory jerseys. Classic jersey. Anyway, so I had to represent Turner. I came to there. Super fun. Pre-game festivities. Super cool to see Caitlin Clark there for the rev up. I mean, we've all seen her play on TV in those Iowa games. We're all hyped to have her on the Indiana Fever. Even if it was, 300, 500 feet away, it was really cool to see her as a person because she's almost in that realm of being like mythic. I mean, she exists, but you're like, she's just at that like different level type thing. So it's really cool to see her there. And any other year, we draft a new WNBA player. She's there. People are going to maybe clap. Oh, that's cool. But Caitlin Clark, that stadium got wild for Caitlin Clark, which is really cool to see. We're going to be doing some content on the WNBA season as soon as the playoffs are over because I know we're going to have a lot more people interested in that. I've never done that type of content before, but I'm very interested in the WNBA now because having Caitlin Clark, she is her. All right. So that was all cool. Now, the actual game, what a roller coaster. And again, this is game 3. What a roller coaster. That was the best sports game I've ever been to in my life. And it's not even close. It's not even close. We had that 19-point lead early. I think it was in the first, maybe early second, that 19-point lead. We won. That's what I was thinking. We won. This is over. Awesome. No, Bucks brought it back. Bucks brought it back. And like I've been saying, even with Giannis being out, Dame, this is the best team Dame has ever had. And he was able to take those teams to the Western Conference Finals. And the West, in my opinion, is harder to get to the finals than it is to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So him alone on that good of a team is scary. It's scary. And I do have a lot of respect for the Bucks. When Giannis got out, I didn't assume, this is an automatic victory because I have a lot of respect for Dame and what he's done. My favorite NBA shot of all time, honestly, is when he was playing on the Blazers and they were playing OKC in the playoffs. I think it was a game 6. It wasn't to win it, but he had the logo 3-point shot over Paul George, the buzzer beater that won the game. Paul George said it was like a bad shot. You say whatever you want, but I'm not sure any shot is a bad shot for Damian Lillard. That was so cold-blooded. Just, I don't care that you're guarding me. I don't care that you have like 8 inches on me. I'm shooting this shot and it's making an end. So that was super cool. It was tied, but still, that's my favorite NBA shot of all time. So again, a lot of respect for them. Shouldn't have counted them out when I did, but I did. And they showed us why we shouldn't, especially Chris Middleton really showed up. And we'll touch on him a little bit later on the end of this podcast when we're talking about how the game ended. And if you watched that game, I'm sure you did, that was a wild ending. That was a wild ending. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So let's talk about statistics overall. So Halliburton had his first playoff triple-double, but he did shoot 1 for 12 from threes. And his 2-point shots, he actually shot pretty good. I think the same exact numbers, but some for like 6 for 9 or something. So his 2-pointers pretty good. He just wasn't hitting his threes. And to me, that's okay. That was okay because I think I said this on the live podcast we did at Hoopsters. I think it was game 1, that I don't care if Halliburton's missing his shots. I just want him to be aggressive because he is going to hit his shots. He's going to have some nights where he doesn't. Every player does it. I just want him to be aggressive and take those shots because when they fall, if those shots are falling, that's a blowout game. Okay? So I'm fine with him missing his shots. I'm just glad that he learned from his mistake of, I think, game 1, he took 7 shots and he made 5 of them. So you'd like to see that output go up. And he obviously, him and Rick Carlisle heard that. So not from me, but you know what I'm saying? They probably discussed it in film session. So I was glad to see that. Although Halliburton is taking his primary role of being the assistant. And I don't think that is wrong, but I do think we need to have more scoring from Halliburton, especially when you're playing someone like Damian Lillard, who can just make those. Oh my goodness, he just made that type of shot. It's nice for momentum to have somebody else do it. Because, yeah, Siakam, he can make a 3 standing in the corner. Yeah, Turner, he can make a 3 standing at the top of the key. Naismith can, like, make a 3, but somebody who just off the dribble can do a step back to the side and hit that 3, that can cancel out some of that Damian Lillard momentum when you have that type of killer over there. So I think that was really good. I expect him to be shooting at the high volume again, and I just expect him to be making more of those shots. So that's good. And also, even with shooting 1 for 12, I wouldn't say it's a bad game because you got 16 assists, which is the most anybody's had in the playoffs. And that's what his primary thing needs to be doing. He needs to be he's a distributor first. He just is. Even though he's a great scorer, he's a distributor first, and play to your strengths. Play to your strengths. And that is his major strength. So I'm glad that 16 assists and have 10 rebounds as a point guard in the playoffs. That's a great game. And he still had 18 points. Yeah, his 3-point shooting was horrendous, but I'll take it. Overall, that's a good game, and I'll still say he's player of the game. And that's weird to say because if you told me he was going to miss 11 of his 12 threes, I would not say he's player of the game no matter what the stats are. But he proved me wrong. And I actually saw his other triple-double in Indianapolis against Boston in the in-season tournament. So he's shown us that the big games, he can come up to play. And again, just think, he even just hits 4 of those threes. All of a sudden now he's at like 24 points and he's shooting like 30% from 3. And we're not stressing at all. We think we have the greatest player of all time. So that's just something to consider. And the final thing with Halliburton too is when it mattered, he showed up. He showed up when it mattered. I was losing my mind and I was mad when at the end of the game, he's standing 3/4 of the court back. Me, I didn't understand that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like when he was doing that in my mind, like, oh, you have to take a 3 now, and how are you gonna have that? That's why Rick Carlisle's a coach, and that's why I'm just a podcaster, because he had that full head of steam to go sprinting down, and everybody had to respect that 3. But when he was driving, Miles Turner was wide open. If you watch that replay, he was wide open in the corner, which is the most efficient shot in the whole NBA. Brook Lopez fully sold to him. I don't remember who the player in front of him was, but he fully sold to Halliburton. And then Patrick Beverly was coming from the back. And if you look, he got this close to blocking Halliburton. But Halliburton said, I was just going to score it. And that's that next shot I'm going to make mentality that your star has to have. Because there are going to be some nights where your shot's just not falling. But eventually, if you're that high level of a player, your shots are going to fall. And I like to see that he trusts himself. Because even with him saying in his mind, I'm going to take this final shot, I'm going to win this game, you know he has that pass first mentality. So you know he saw Turner there. There's no way Halliburton missed it. He knows Turner's there, wide open. Even just seeing Brook Lopez cut, he probably could have made that pass, not even looking to Turner, and gave it to him. But he has that killer mentality, and that's what we need to make it fun in these playoffs. So super happy with that with Halliburton. Do have to give some shout outs to Chris Middleton. I'm not going to lie. Have to give some shout outs to Chris Middleton. When that first 3 he made, it was kind of a screen, so it's not like Turner was like guarding him, but Turner's the one that came onto him. Turner put his hand up and barely missed that block, and that was a tough shot. That was a Dame time type of shot, just went in. And I'm not gonna lie, with how the momentum was going in fourth quarter and overtime, we had 6 considered wide open threes that we missed, which means the defender's 6 feet away from you or more, and we missed them all. So when he hit that shot, I wanted to believe in my patience. I really did, but that's usually that type of shot that gets that momentum over. Now the Bucks going to overtime, feeling really good about themselves. The Pacers are kind of feeling like they're already kind of on that high of, hey, we have one stop and we win it. So they're already kind of on the high of like, we almost won it. And it's really hard to fight through that of like, oh, we're just going to play more. Because you're expecting to win. Because more likely than not, you're expecting to win, especially when you see him take that shot. Oh, we won. And that's how I felt. I literally was cheering before the shot even went in because I just assumed it was going to miss because how off balance, fade away, step back, whatever he did, I was just assuming we were going to win. So that made it exciting. It was cool to go to an overtime game. Yeah, I'm not, when I was driving up, I thought to myself, how cool would it be if we went to like an overtime game or saw like a buzzer beater or something. And I mean, it was like, nah, I'd rather just blow out the Bucks. Let's just blow them out because I just want to win a playoff series. I cannot remember the last time we won a playoff series. I know it was with the Paul George days and then just constantly getting eliminated by LeBron. So when LeBron finally went to the West, I was like, oh, here's our time. And then Paul George leaves. Victor Oladipo gets the playoffs. We're like a 4 seed, but he's injured. We get like swept like 2 or 3 times that we've been in the playoffs. I think the last time we won a playoff game was in 2018. So I'm very thankful for what our team has gave us so far. And shout out to Chris Middleton again with 16 seconds. Well, let's back up a little bit. When we were down, or we were tied, I think it was, I can't remember exactly the score, but Neesmith got that corner shot. And when I watched it back on like YouTube and like the live broadcast type of thing, I didn't notice it. But when I was there at the game from where my seats were, he was actually a little bit in front of the 3-point line. And he didn't know so much step back, but he did like step back and have that awareness, like make the 3. Hey, I'm wide open from the corner. Might as well take the 3, which is very high level IQ move because honestly, had he not done that, I still think the Chris Middleton probably would have hit whatever, I don't think he would have had that exact same 3 because like the butterfly effect. But I still think Chris Middleton would have hit whatever 3 he was given. So that was a big move then. And of course, then Halliburton comes and wins it for us. So that was a great game. I mean, I haven't been alive for the whole, okay, I was going to say the greatest Pacers playoff, but I guess that Reggie Miller 9 seconds cannot be touched. Cannot be touched. I don't know what would have to happen for a better Pacers playoff game against like a rival Knicks. That 8 points, 9 seconds in the playoffs is just legendary. So I guess that won't be top, but that's definitely number 2. So it's like 1, 2, and then number 3 is probably, somewhere down there. Again, props to Halliburton for what he did. An unsung hero and someone I see get a lot of hate from a lot of the Facebook groups of the Indiana Pacers fans is Miles Turner. Everybody hates Miles Turner. Okay, Miles Turner was our leading scorer that game by over 10 points. The experience matters. And that's why I think we can even expect a better version of this team once we get to the second round. Because just like Halliburton, he was able to get those extra shot attempts up. He learned his lesson. Now, this is things, if it wouldn't have been that lesson, it would have been another. So many young players, and you're going to have to learn these lessons. And the experience you've already seen, it matters. Siakam and Turner have been our like 2 biggest guys. Game 1 and 2, Siakam scored, I think 35, 37. Then Turner scores 29, which is his playoff career high because they're able to take all the experience. Now, granted, a lot of Turner's experience is getting swept, but he's at least been in that pressure. He knows that, hey, normally during the season, I can hit this shot all the time, but they're going to be guarding me a little harder. So maybe I have to go off. I'm not sure everything, but that playoff experience definitely matters. So if we can just get past this first round, I feel great about playing the Knicks. Maybe it's somewhat of a hot take, maybe not with us Indiana Pacers fans, but to me, Tyrese Halliburton is better than Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry, he just is. That's who I'd rather have. It's not even close to me. Jalen Brunson's a great player. He really is. And I give them a lot of credit for where they ended up in the standings comparatively because, it's not like their roster's too stacked. But at the same time, they had maybe 3 more wins than us? No, I think it was 2 more wins than us. And we had Halliburton out for about 2 weeks and then on minutes restrictions for about 2 weeks. So you can't convince me if Halliburton had all that time back, didn't have to mess with injury, you can't convince me Halliburton wouldn't have propelled us like the 3rd seed, maybe even like the second. I mean, the extra time to gel with Siakam, that getting a continuous stride, because if you remember before that injury, he was averaging 26.4 points a game, I think, and 13 point something assists per game, which is crazy. Crazy. I mean, that's one of one in today's NBA. And speaking of that, not only did he lead the regular season in assists with only playing 65 games, crazy, but he also was leading the playoffs in assists. So that is good to see. That is still translating over. And then Siakam is top 5 in the playoffs in scoring. Number 5. But he's top 5 in the playoffs in scoring. And he gets that quiet scoring, though. He really gets that quiet scoring. That 35 point, that 37 point game, I didn't know he was. If Halliburton had 35 points, we would all know it from like the very beginning, not having to check scores. I had to like check the box score to see, oh my goodness, Siakam's really going off, because he does that quiet type of scoring. He's not doing some like fancy ISO to hit that 3. He's not dunking. It's just, hey, I got a mismatch. I'm gonna back you down. I'm gonna hit it. All right. Hey, you left me a little too open for 3. I'm gonna hit it. So Siakam really, he better get that max. I mean, oh my! When we first traded for him, I wasn't sure the level I was gonna have on Siakam. I'm fully bought in now. I'm fully bought in. He is so reliable. He kind of reminds me of David West from the old Pacers games, of not flashy, but he's gonna show up every single game, and that's regular season and playoffs. He's gonna show up every single game. He's gonna be consistent, and in the playoffs, you're going to have to hit some tough shots. So you're going to have to hit some like deep jumpers that in the regular season, we're not taking those jumpers as much. Maybe Siakam is, but we're not taking, you have to hit some mid-range jumpers in the playoffs, because you're going to have some possessions where you're just going to have to score tough. You're not going to get that wide open 3. You're not going to get that easy layup. You're going to have to hit some of those jumpers. And in the 4th quarter, especially, I noticed this during the regular season, and I've noticed this in the playoffs, he really hits that jumper and he's not afraid to go to it. And I think it's deflating for a team to see a guy do that in the 4th quarter, because if they're just getting breaks on you, they're having to pass by you, oh, I just got to play them a little different here. Those jumpers, usually the person's right on them, and he kind of just gives you a heck you and just turns around and hits it on you. And every time he takes a shot, it like worries me a little bit, because my NBA brain is so programmed to think jump shot, bad. But Siakam, it's a different story. So really big on that. And back on the Knicks, like I said, Halliburton, I think, is better than Jalen Brunson. I think Siakam is better than OG and Anunoby. And then our 3rd best is Turner, and their 3rd best, maybe 2nd best if he was in, is Julius Randle, and he's not in. So I don't see any reason we can't win that. I don't see any reason at all we don't win that. They do start off with home court. Madison Square Garden is a tough place to play, but I think we got that matchup. I'm very excited for tonight's game. I'm not going to look too much ahead. Very excited to compete with the Bucks. And if we get the privilege to make it against the Knicks, I'm excited about that, because I didn't grow up seeing those Knicks-Pacers rivalry, but I just feel it. 2 teams I feel that rivalry with is Knicks. Oh, Heat first for me, because I saw the Heatles dismantle us so many times. Got so close to NBA championship, not championship, but the finals. And LeBron just took us down so many times. So I have a hatred for them, but also like the Knicks, because they're one of the teams like the Dallas Cowboys. Even if they suck, they get talked about every year. And then we're this team that even if we're doing great, nobody talks about us. So I want to see us take down the Knicks, all the Knick haters. And yeah, that's really all I got for it. Thank you all for tuning in, and check out our Facebook page, 3 Point Threat, and our YouTube channel, 3 Point Threat. Peace out. Shout out to ZTV.